As we talk about reviving the practice of singing the Psalms, we have to go back in history and see why and when believers ceased to be immersed in the language of the Psalms. At some point in church history, the Psalms began to decline as a vital part of our worship and communion with God. As the early church grew and took on false teaching and a priestly hierarchy, the people forgot the Psalms, and singing them became an overlooked part of worshiping God. In the 4th century AD, congregational singing had descended into entertainment, and the Council of Laodicea banned singing by the congregation. From this point on, singing in a worship service was assigned to the clergy and those appointed by them. This continued for almost 1,200 years. But this all changed with Martin Luther. Not only did he shake the world with his Reformation and his 5 solas, but he also reformed congregational singing. Even though we associate Luther with his exposition of Romans, the book of Psalms was a personal favorite of Luther's, and he was consumed by it. Robert Godfrey says this about Luther's love of the Psalms. Luther had learned the Psalms early as a monk and continued to love them. He called the Psalter a little Bible, saying, "The Psalter ought to be a precious and beloved book, if for no other reason than this. It promises Christ's death and resurrection so clearly and pictures his kingdom and the condition and nature of all Christendom that it might well be called a little Bible. In it is comprehended most beautiful and briefly everything that is in the entire Bible." Luther preached all 150 chapters of the Psalms, and his first book, published in 1517, was an exposition of 7 penitential psalms. Luther, as a musician, believed that Paul's commands to sing psalms was to be taken literally, and he worked to turn 7 psalms into hymns. With these new hymns from the Psalms, he encouraged and rebuilt the congregational singing of the church. We should ask ourselves, how can we, like Martin Luther, encourage and facilitate the singing of psalms in our congregations and homes? How can we be immersed in the language of the Psalms as it relates to everyday life?